All right, welcome to tonight's show. So much goodness to share. We're going to jump into conversations about BMNR, the bullish signals return. We're going to jump into that. Also going to chat about Bitcoin. Mathematically, how could Bitcoin get to over 160,000 before year end? Additionally, why do Wall Street companies continue to build on Ethereum? And we're going to take a look at what's happening there as well. And then we're going to talk about bullish signals on the S&P 500 and price predictions made by Tom Lee earlier in the year. And Tom Lee saying that the S&P is going higher, which is good for crypto, which means it's good for BMNR, it's good for Ethereum, it's good for Bitcoin, it's good for MSTR. So we're going to jump in. Not tax advice, not financial advice, not legal advice. Lots to get into today. Do your own financial research and your own research before making any moves. And I hope this serves you. All right. And also, if you want to get my book, Money Game, I'm making 5% on average per week with my trading strategy. I also wrote an entire book on Bitcoin, Ethereum, MSTR, and also BMNR, and on the global economy of what's going on with traditional finance and the new digital finance landscape. Most importantly, there's a cool video on how I make 5% a week trading. I think you'll dig it. Okay, let's jump in. You can get it on the link down below. So let's jump into what we're here to talk about today. So why stocks and crypto could explode year end. So in Tom Lee's latest CNBC interview, he made one of his boldest calls yet, despite the market volatility we've been through, despite the shutdown fears, everything's been going on with the government and trade tensions. Lee says we're heading for a year-end melt-up, not just in stocks, but in crypto too. If you don't know who Tom Lee is the chairman and founder of Fundstrat. He's also the chairman of BMNR, a hot stock that I'm talking about on this channel. Okay, so let's see why he believes that the S&P 500 and Bitcoin and Ethereum could surge as we close out the year. So Tom Lee said back in April, we all remember April, right? The big crash. Fundstrat's year-end target for the S&P 500 was 6,600. So when all hell was breaking loose, when Trump smashed down with the tariffs, when the whole world's like, oh my God, we're coming to an end, when strategy dumped down to like $230, and Tom Lee said back then, he said that the S&P 500 would get to 6,600 by year end. And we are already at 6,791 on the S&P 500. So it's up over 15% year to date. Why do you care? Well, you care about the S&P 500, not because you're in it, because I can care less about the S&P 500. I'm not in it. But I care because it's an indicator for risk on assets like crypto, Bitcoin, BMNR, Ethereum, MSTR. So, and Tom says he's not backing down on his predictions. He believes we could have a 4% to 10% rally into the year end on the S&P 500 that could break 7,000 by December. So this is very, very, very bullish news. He was spot on when he called it. He called it back in April. He absolutely called it when the Trump dump happened with the tariffs. And now we've seen the S&P 500 rebound, and we will see Bitcoin and Ethereum do the same. This is my point of view, not financial advice. So this is the deal. He was being interviewed, and Lee described what happened as a historic deleveraging event in early October. So we all remember this a couple weeks ago. It was the biggest crypto liquidation in 5 years, and it was driven by renewed U.S.-China tariff tensions. Now, if you didn't watch my video yesterday, you'll know that it came to the table through Scott Bessent that they're creating a new trade deal, and it's not going to involve 100% tariffs on China. And that's one of the reasons why you saw the market start to spring back up, which is good. So that bad liquidation that we had, billions of dollars, $19 billion in liquidations. You know, during COVID, we only had about 1.2 billion. So it was 19 times the magnitude. But if you look at it, Bitcoin really only dropped around 3 to 4% over the time frame that passed after that. And now Bitcoin's back up around $114,000. And in October, Bitcoin is actually up now. You know, the whole adage of Uptober, well, wasn't Uptober, it was Downtober for a long time. And now finally Bitcoin's in the green in October. I'll show you in a little bit. Also, there's 5 major events coming up this week. So I'll pay attention. I'm going to share that with you at the end of the video. 5 major events coming up, which is super exciting. So Tom Lee says that that's a powerful signal that Bitcoin's providing here, that Bitcoin is a legitimate store of value. If this kind of liquidation that we saw, the $19 billion liquidation, happened in gold, and gold only dropped a few percentage points, we call that a validation. So Bitcoin deserves some respect on this one because it dropped. Yeah, and it went down during the liquidation to like 102, but then it rebounded quickly, and now it went over 115 today. It's climbing up towards 116 as well. And BMNR was up over 54 today, my friends. All right. So when asked whether gold's rally might be stealing liquidity from crypto, Tom Lee shared an interesting point of view on this. He says his team at Fundstrat believes gold is now peaking after completing a classic cup and handle pattern. If you don't know what a cup and handle is, imagine a cup, like the price goes down and then it goes back up like a U. And then the handle forms where it goes down a little bit, dips a little bit, comes back up like a handle, and then goes back up. That's the cup and handle. So that's what gold was doing. And that means we could see money rotating out of gold and back into equities, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. So bye-bye to gold. Hello to equities, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. That's what we want on this channel. And right now, with open interest at record lows and technical setups turning positive, Tom Lee believes the crypto market is quietly flashing a major bullish signal for what's coming next. So if history repeats, both Wall Street and crypto could be heading for an explosive finish to 2025. So if you're bullish on BMNR, you have to be bullish on Ethereum. If you look at Ethereum, Wall Street has made its decision. They're building on Ethereum. If you look at all the blockchain total application capital, right? People building these apps on top of the blockchain, building them on Ethereum. The amount of capital there on Ethereum is 599 billion. The closest second is 84 billion. So Ethereum is leading the way on this. If you want to learn more about Bitcoin, if you want to learn more about Ethereum, but if you want to learn more about BMNR that holds the most Ethereum, I do want to encourage you to go snag my book because it goes in depth into BMNR, MSTR, and really explains these treasury companies. And I believe that BMNR is the next MSTR. So I believe it has that type of explosive growth ahead. Also, I know the stock well. I research it. I also trade it every single day. So every day, Monday through Friday, I trade it. And it's a very volatile stock. You'll see in a later slide that BMNR is one of the top 46 traded stocks in the United States. And it's got one of the smaller market caps, and it's because it's so volatile. But I trade it, and you can pick up in a day easily a couple percentage points in a day trading BMNR if you know what you're doing. I make an average of 5% per week trading BMNR. There's my trading strategy down below with my book. Click on the link, download the book. It's free. You can also get my trading strategy. We'll send you an email that'll follow suit the next day on the trading strategy. And showing you exactly what I'm doing. So you're going to hear me talk a lot about BMNR on this channel because I believe it's the next MSTR. I'm heavily invested in MSTR and BMNR, and I'm a fan of both of them. So you can get my book down below. I loved writing this book. It was so much fun, and there's a really great data in there. And give it to a friend too. Somebody who's in traditional finance, like your parents or your friends who know nothing about this world. Give them a read because it highlights the whole problem of what they're sitting in traditional finance. I think you'll dig it. So if you want to support the channel, go get the book for free, hand it to somebody and read it yourself. Okay, great. So back to this. If you look at Wall Street, it's made its decision. Why am I bullish on BMNR? It's pretty simple because Wall Street's made its decision. They're building on Ethereum. Now, not all of Wall Street, but I'm going to give you some data to back this up and you're going to see it. Now let's talk about first stable coins. All right. So if you like Ethereum, then you're going to be bullish on BMNR. If you like BMNR, then you're going to be bullish on Ethereum because they go hand in hand. So let's talk about the stablecoin marketplace here, because that's where Ethereum's dominance becomes impossible to ignore in stablecoins. And so Ethereum stablecoin supply has climbed from under 60 billion to over 150 billion in a year. And as you all know, that each stablecoin is backed by a US dollar or a US treasury bill. So the banks are in bed with the stablecoin marketplace. This is why Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says that the stablecoin market could go to, it could go to $4 trillion. And so that's only going to be good for the crypto economy. It's also only going to be good for the blockchain, and it's going to be good for Ethereum. Okay, because Ethereum has a lot of the stablecoin market. Over 60% of the stablecoin market is on Ethereum, my friends. And who are the massive holders? Let's look. JP Morgan. You heard me talk about this in yesterday's video. JP Morgan moves further into crypto with stablecoin called JPMD. Can you believe this? The naysayers, the ones who didn't believe in Bitcoin, who didn't think anything was going to happen. Look, JP Morgan is got their own stablecoin right now. All right, so they are on the blockchain. Walmart and Amazon are exploring their own stable coins, which could process trillions of dollars in annual payments. Do you think this is bullish for crypto? Do you think just a little bit this is bullish? Come on, man. This is where the future is. It's here. It's now. All right. And Ethereum is going to win big on this. And BMNR is going to win big on this. In 2025, Ethereum leads by a massive margin with over 31,000 active developers. That's nearly double Solana's and almost triple Bitcoin's. All right. And Solana is a great chain too. I'm not here saying Solana is not good. It's a great chain. It's got great technology. Wall Street is moving heavily onto Ethereum. So I'm going where the smart money's going and where the big money's going. And that's why I'm invested in BMNR. Okay. JP Morgan just made history. JP Morgan to allow clients to pledge Bitcoin and Ethereum as collateral. So now you're going to be able to pledge your Bitcoin and Ethereum as collateral, which is huge because if you want to get a loan off your Bitcoin or a loan off your Ethereum, it's really simple. You can do it now, right? Because you can pledge it as collateral, which is a big deal. So that's big for JP Morgan. They're not doing this because they think Bitcoin or Ethereum are going to zero. They're doing it because regulation is now clear enough for them to treat these assets like legitimate collateral. If you watched my video yesterday, you'll tune into the fact that I was talking about Brian Armstrong, who's the CEO of Coinbase. And Brian was up on in DC yesterday, and he says that the Senate and the House of Representatives are like 90% in agreement to create the new market structure legislation for crypto, which we've been waiting on for a while. So the moment it passes there, it goes to the president, he signs it in, and boom, it's lock and load time. And that's good because you want market structure, you want legitimacy for crypto, and you want rules and regulations so that institutions can feel more safe and pour in, because that's where the big money is. And the big money is going to push up Bitcoin and Ethereum and all the crypto in the marketplace. Not all the crypto, because I don't believe in all the crypto, but the crypto marketplace in general. Okay, great. To understand BMNR's position, you got to take a look at strategy. I always say, I said this 3 months ago, I created a video before BMNR was hot. I said, this is the next MSTR. This is literally the next MSTR, okay? Not financial advice, but I know this is the next MSTR. So when you look at the position right now, Bitcoin did a 10x over that time frame. So when you look at Bitcoin and you look at a hot treasury company that's moving in tandem with its underlying asset, strategy, its underlying asset is Bitcoin. So strategy was moving in tandem with Bitcoin over that time period. Strategy was the hot news at that time. I'm not saying strategy is dead. I still hold a big position in strategy. But BMNR is going to move bigger than strategy over the next 6 months in terms of gains. That's my personal opinion, because it's a hot new thing and it's winning. And so when you look back in 2020, when strategy was the hot new thing, if you look at the gains and the differential, Bitcoin went from $11,000 to $47,000 from 8/11/2020 to 2/11/2021. So when you look at that move over the course of 6 months, that's a 4x move. Then you look at at that move over the course of the last 5 years, you're looking at a 10x move on Bitcoin. You look at Strategy's move from a $13.49 stock to its price now, which is actually only about $295. It's called 300. That's a 20-something X move. Okay, so when you get in early on these things, like Strategy, I got in when it was $78. Okay, and then Strategy, I'm still in massive profits in Strategy because Strategy's at about 300 right now. I'm still holding it because I believe that it's going to go higher. If you watch my previous videos, you'll see that Citibank is giving a target for Strategy of $485. That's big news when an institution like that is coming out and being bullish on Strategy. Okay, so this is just a comparison to show, not to say like, oh my God, Strategy is moving at 2.5x to Bitcoin right now. We know that's not happening right now because we have not hit up a bullish zone for Strategy to start peaking and going up, even though Saylor continues to buy more and more Bitcoin. But this is a comparison to say, when this was hot in 2020, 2021, and you look at the moves, if you were to get in early on Strategy, you would have crushed it. And even in 2024 of February, when I got in at $78, and then I bought some at 100, 120, 130, whatever. But when you look at it and you look at the moves, this has face melting gains in the future for BMNR. That's just what I think. Okay. So I'm holding on to BMNR. Now I trade it every day in full disclaimer. So when BMNR goes down, I'm picking up shares every single day when I'm profitable. So it's not that I'm profitable every single day, but I've been profitable the last 14 out of 15 weeks. I got about a 93% win ratio trading. That's how I make 5% per week. So when you look at this, this is huge potential. And so when you get in early on stuff like this, this is where you win. And that's why I'm talking about BMNR, not to give any financial advice whatsoever, but I want to get in early. And I didn't get in, like I got in BMNR at $60, my friends. Okay. So that's when I bought 3 months ago when the hype was high. I was like, I'm just getting in, man. Like maybe this goes up to the 75 tomorrow. And funny enough, a week later, it went up to 72. So it's been to a $72 price point in the last 3 months, and it has potential to go higher. And then it dropped all the way down to 40. But when it dropped down to 40, I was trading it and picking up a shitload of shares, trading it at a low cost basis, or a low average price, I should say. So again, if you want my trading strategy, you can download the book down below. It talks a little bit about my trading strategy in there, but there's going to be a video sent out to you as well that walks you through how I'm trading BMNR, how I set up the charts to do it, what I do, and you can download it down below if you want to get in the game. Because I'm of the belief of like one should be in full control of their actual investments. And that means when the markets go down, how do you make more? When the markets go up, how do you make double? And that's just the reality of the situation. If you know how to trade and pick up shares, even when the market's down, that means when it turbocharges and slingshots back up, it's like a rubber band that just like shot a rocket into freaking outer space. You know what I'm saying? It just snaps back because you're picking up more shares almost every single day trading it. So that's why I think you'll hear people. I watched a video of a guy the other day. He's like, I don't think trading works. I'm like, well, that's because you don't know how to do it. And he's a big name, big voice online. And he started off his video like that. I'm going to say, because you don't know how to do it. If you know how to do it, then your cause over your finances fully, because you can buy and hold. Yeah. But you can also buy and hold, and the underlying asset that you're holding, you can trade a portion of that underlying asset and pick up a crap load of shares and win by holding and also trading and stacking more shares. Why would you not do that? Okay. Basic tool, basic skill to learn. Anybody can learn it. All right. So that's why I'm hot on BMNR for many, many reasons, because I like it. So when Bitcoin's price went up 10x in 2000, we already talked about this with strategy and BMNR. But if you look at BMNR is the Ethereum equivalent of strategy, a digital asset treasury company holding over 3.3 million ETH now. Okay. It's ranked 46. So when you look at the daily trading volume, if you're a trader like I am, this is number 46 in US markets on daily trading volume. Now, like a couple weeks ago, it was number 26, but that's huge. When you look at a small company like BMNR in terms of its market cap and the fact that it's the number 46 in US markets, and strategy is also very volatile and is a good one to trade as well too. I was trading strategy before BMNR. Okay. So BMNR still trades at a premium to its net asset value. So it's around 1.35 or so right now. That premium means, this is what it means. It means investors are willing to pay more than the value of the underlying Ethereum just to gain exposure to BMNR's treasury strategy. Somebody's asking me in the thread, what is my price prediction for BMNR at the end of the year? I think it's real that BMNR could pass 80. I think that's a real prediction, that BMNR could pass 80. And the reason I think that is because 3 months ago, it passed 72. There was some really bullish news that came out on it. BMNR was stacking ETH, and it went up to 72. So I think if the stars align and we have some bullish momentum, which we're starting to get, and it continues, right? It has to continue, right? Then I think that $80 price point by the end of the year is real for BMNR. And that would be what? Not quite 60%. That would be like 50% move from here. Okay. Do I think in a very bullish scenario, now, there's lots of talk that the 4-year cycle may be dead and we could extend into 2026. Do I think it's real that BMNR is going to go to $100 at some point? Absolutely. Absolutely. Do I think BMNR is a double from here at some point? Yes, absolutely. I think sometime in 2025 or 2026 it's a double from here. I think more likely maybe in 2026, but I think we're going to get a double on the stock, and I'm holding on to it for the future for the potential of even getting a triple. All right. Because that's what I did with MSTR. I got a triple. All right. And I want to get a triple on this. And when I get a triple, I'll take some profits. Make sense? Okay. And I may take some profits in the end of the year, even if we get a double. So I'll let you know. I'll keep you informed. Okay. So this is exactly why BMNR's thesis is built on Ethereum. Every new stablecoin, every new enterprise token, and every new app built on Ethereum directly increases the underlying value of BMNR's core treasury, which is Ethereum. All right. So exciting news. If Ethereum continues to lead the financial internet, then BMNR stands to be one of the biggest corporate beneficiaries of this shift. So if Ethereum moons, then BMNR is going to moon. Okay. And we haven't even hit the euphoria zone. If we hit the euphoria zone, let's not forget that BMNR is trading with an MNAV of about 31.35. So it's 35% above. So with that MNAV, that could go up in the next couple months if we see a little bit of euphoria. You see, we got the euphoria outside. You got to love it, right? The sirens are going. The euphoria is coming. So come on, man. Give it up. A little sirens for BMNR here. You hear it? So we could have the MNAV could go higher. Let's not forget that when strategy was super hot and strategy's MNAV was easy over 2. In 2024, like 2 was low for strategy. So could the MNAV of BMNR go up? Yeah. Could it go to 1.5, 1.6? I think absolutely. It's very real that the MNAV will go up. So that means all kinds of good things coming up for BMNR. It's also my birthday today. I just saw October 27th. I'm like, oh yeah, it's my birthday again. Okay. So if you look at BitMine, provided its latest holdings update for October 27, 2025, $14.2 billion in total crypto, plus their moonshots, 3,313,000 ETH, priced at $4,164 per Ethereum. They have 192 Bitcoin in the treasury. Also, they hold some Bitcoin. And they have an $88 million stake in 8Co, which is a company that owns it's a company that has WorldCoin on its balance sheet. Okay. And WorldCoin is a new technology out there that allows you to make sure that there's a proof of human. So when you come on the blockchain and people want to make sure that they're sending money to a real person, the technology that's in the treasury of 8Co, which is the WorldCoin, that WorldCoin's technology is going to make sure that you're human, so that you're not some AI scamming people. Okay. And then they got cash of 305 million. So that's the balance sheet I just showed you. So you can see it in big letters here, or big numbers, 3,313,000 ETH. And then you see their balance sheet, and it's made up mostly of ETH, right? Okay. But it's it's not a secret that Tom Lee believes in building out the infrastructure of the blockchain, which is why he's investing in technologies, and his company's investing in technologies like 8Co, which holds WorldCoin on the balance sheet, which has the technology to make sure proof of human, because we need to make sure the blockchain is safe. And looking into the future, you're going to have all kinds of scammers and stuff. And so this is a great technology. So they're helping build out the infrastructure of the blockchain and Ethereum. Okay. So when you look at the weekly buys, look at the buys today. They bought 77,000 ETH tokens. On 1020, they bought 200,000 ETH tokens. On 1013, 202,000. So look at the stacking. That's like 400, 500, it's like 700,000 ETH. It's crazy, right? The largest ETH treasury, nobody's going to come close to catching them, all right? So recent progress in U.S.-China trade talks is another tailwind for Ethereum. Let's just look at the news here. So according to Tom Lee, the progress in trade talks between U.S. and China is positive for Ethereum and crypto. If you did not hear it, Scott Bessent announced yesterday on October 26th, that there will not be 100% tariff. So there will be no 100% tariff. The talks have come together. They're creating a new plan together, China and the US, which is good. And we will hear more about that this week. So that's the basic story on that. While the fundamentals of Ethereum and crypto are uncorrelated to equities, Fundstrat's work has shown that the past 15 years, Ethereum and crypto perform better when equities rise. So my earlier slide that showed that the S&P 500 has more to run by the end of the year, it has shown that crypto performs better when equities rise, meaning crypto is correlated to risk on assets. And a risk on asset is Bitcoin, Ethereum, MSTR, BMNR. Okay, so S&P is winning and going up. Gold's been going up. It's Bitcoin's turn, Ethereum's turn, etc. Okay, so as the market stabilizes, crypto and especially Ethereum tends to benefit first. Among the 30 digital asset treasuries tracked, BitMine and Strategy together represent 88% of all trading volume. So look at Strategy, heavily traded, 53%. Look at BitMine, heavily traded, 34%. So they crush it. They basically crush the digital asset treasury marketplace. There's BitMine and Strategy, and there's everyone else. Yeah. For the week ending October 24th, BitMine, 34% of that volume. We just went over that. And then Saylor, MSTR does not stop. This man is relentless. God love him. I love him. I think he's amazing. By $43 million worth of Bitcoin today at $111,000 price point. That's 390 Bitcoin. And Strategy has achieved a Bitcoin yield of 26% year to date. They hodl 640,000 Bitcoin acquired for $47 billion at $74,000 per Bitcoin. Pretty cool, right? So Strategy's crushing it. The company keeps acquiring Bitcoin week after week. They've got just an incredible stack of offerings out there, not just issuing common shares in the marketplace. Strike, Stride, Stripe, Stretch. Those are all their different products. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Love what Saylor's doing. Total admiration for that guy. And if you look at Bitcoin's October returns flip green, if you look over here in the right-hand column of October at the top, 2025, Bitcoin flips up 1% now. So we are in the green. October, it's typically called October. It's been more of a depression-tober recently. So I'm not going to give it the October name yet until it earns the October name, because it's not really an October yet. So it will earn it this week. That's the postulate. That's the prediction. The bigger headline this week, Bitcoin ETFs are up again. So if you look at the weekly total net inflow, 355 million. That's pretty big, and there's more inflows coming into to Bitcoin in October here, which is huge. So after the brief dip last week, ETF saw a net inflow of 355 million, as you see here on the screen, in the last 4 trading days. And when we shift from weekly to monthly data, the story gets even better. Bitcoin ETF still up big for October. If you look at this, we got $4 billion. $4 billion, which is already higher than September. So, like, come on. The inflows are here. The price needs to move. Come on. Somebody kick Bitcoin in the butt so the price goes up higher. Bitcoin could hit 160,000 in 2025. Here's kind of how this could happen. Again, this is just a hypothetical. Nobody knows exact price points of what's going to happen, but this is a hypothetical. So when you look at the world's biggest assets, you got gold, $28 trillion marketplace up top. Then you got NVIDIA, Apple, Microsoft, Alphabet. You got silver, $2.72 trillion, and Bitcoin below it, 2.225. You look at the purple column, that's Bitcoin, $1 trillion. Okay, so that's roughly $46.9 trillion of what you just saw on the chart. Gold and silver have always been the traditional stores of value. Now imagine just 0.2%. That's all we need. 0.2% rotation from these assets into Bitcoin. What could happen? Why could it happen? Because Bitcoin is no longer just a speculative asset. Volatility has dropped. Institutional adoption has crossed 100 billion since 2024, and the Fed has started easing. Okay, so all of which supports rotation of other capital, like the 49 trillion there, into scarcer assets like Bitcoin. All right, a 0.2% inflow, that would be $93 billion in new capital entering Bitcoin. With a conservative 10 to 12x liquidity multiplier, that could expand Bitcoin's market cap by $1 trillion. So bottom line is, if some of that money rotates out of this $49 trillion of assets, what I just showed you with Bitcoin, with silver and gold and NVIDIA and all these different assets, and some of it rolls into Bitcoin during this bullish kind of move that we're having, and it spurs the move even more, that could increase Bitcoin's market cap by $1 trillion, and the price would go up, hence going over $160,000. And that could be real. It's something that could happen before year end. I think that is real. So look at gold. It added nearly $7 trillion in market value in only 4 weeks. $7 trillion in 4 weeks. Now, you have to actually look at this in ratios, because gold was at 20 trillion, right? And then it added 7 trillion, which is 35% in 4 weeks. So if Bitcoin adds 35% in 4 weeks, that would put the price about whatever that price would be, 150, close to 160. Okay. So a comparable move, one would think that Bitcoin would make a comparable move. I would think it would make a better move than gold. And we will see. We shall find out. We shall find out. If gold has peaked, then digital gold is next in line, and digital gold is Bitcoin. Now, this is one big week coming up. Okay. It's a very, very big week. Again, if you're just joining us, you can get my book down below. I want to make sure you guys get it. I'm giving away as a free gift and also my trading strategy where I'm making 5% on average per week. I want you to have it. It's free. Go snag it. That way you can learn how to make money in the down times too. And, it's less of a flip out when the market goes down, because you can make money and pick up more shares. That's why I like to trade. And in my book, I just loved writing this book. So I hope you get it. Okay. It's free. All right. So let's talk about the 5 major things here. This is one of the biggest weeks of the year for markets. We got the Fed interest rate decision on Wednesday. So it looks like we got a 90% chance we're going to get a 25 basis points cut on this. So 1/4 of a point, they'll cut the interest rates by, just like they did previously. We got the Fed Chair Powell press conference Wednesday. We got Microsoft, Alphabet, Meta earnings on Wednesday. We got President Trump meets with President from China on Thursday. And then we got Apple and Amazon earnings on Thursday. And then 20% of S&P 500 companies report earnings this week. So there's a huge week. I'm expecting that there's going to be some bullish news coming in this week. And we deserve it in the last week of October. Let's not forget, Friday, the week ends. So if we're going to have an October, it's going to happen now. So that is the weather and the sports. I hope you are bullish as well. And I'm excited about what's about to happen. So in recap, if you're just joining us, I'll give you a quick recap of what we went over today. Number one, talked about the S&P 500. So when you look at the S&P 500, Tom Lee, when we had the big April drop with the Trump dump that we had back in April, and then the markets rebounded. When we were at a low in April, Tom Lee was calling the S&P 500 to recover to $6,600 by the end of the year. The S&P 500 is now $6,800. Okay, this is the same Tom Lee when Bitcoin was $1,000 said that Bitcoin would eventually get to $100,000, and this was in 2017. Bitcoin's at $100,000. Okay, that's number one. Why do we care about the S&P? Because risk on assets, if equities are doing well, risk on assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, BMNR tend to do well as also. So that could be a good run for the assets that I care about, and I'm sure you care about as well. Okay. Somebody said here, Tom's hair is bullish. Tom's hair is absolutely 100% bullish. I love Tom's hair. He's great. So we got that. And we've got the S&P 500. Number two, went through why Ethereum is the king right now and why Wall Street is building on Ethereum. And if you look at this video, this is a really good video to watch right now. I forgot. This is a great video. This shows you in this video why the world should be extremely bullish on Ethereum, extremely bullish on BMNR, and just extremely bullish about crypto in general.
Also, banks should change, if I took JP Morgan, for instance, and this is something we've written about at Fundstrat, that they are operating supported by 313,000 employees, but a JP Morgan built on the blockchain might only need 20,000 employees and operate with far greater clarity and vision and efficiency. So JP Morgan may end up being, especially using AI, more of a tech company. They're replacing humans with tech spend and using the blockchain for finality and security. And the multiples of banks should change, going from trading at price to tangible book to actually having a PE multiple. And Kathy Wood has pointed this out. That's exactly what happened with Costco and Walmart, that they used to be traded like typical consumer staples, 15 to 16 times earnings. But because they essentially systematized their business, Walmart and Costco trade 35 to 50 times forward earnings. That's a higher PE multiple than NVIDIA, which trades at 30 times.
So anyway, if you look at this, basically in English, what he's saying is you look at the number of employees that JP Morgan has, they have 313,000 employees, right? If you look at Tether, I think it was on Tether recently where I did a video on this. Their market cap or their total valuation is about $500 billion. And so if you look at, I should say 500 million. So if you look at this, if you look at the companies right now, and you look at the companies on the blockchain, and it's just one example of Tether, they have so few employees compared to the number of employees that JP Morgan has of 313,000 employees. And so when you're looking about moving onto the blockchain for these banks, it allows them to become way more versatile. They have so many employees they need right now because their system is very clunky. And so when you move on to the blockchain, the technology is more superior. Then you're also going to have we have AI as well that's far superior in terms of speed and technology. And so these companies are just going to become more efficient. And so one of the reasons they're moving onto blockchain is the technology to be more efficient, and their profit margins are going to be greater because they'll have less employees eventually, right? Because the technology is going to be smarter and faster, and then the employees they have can do a great job doing what they're doing using the right technologies. Okay, so it's very bullish when you see this happening in the marketplace, and that's basically what he's saying in the video right there, that companies are going to build on this new technology, and as a result, their companies are going to get more efficient and they're going to get more systematized. And a company that's more systematized, as he was saying, you look at the PE ratio of some of these companies that are more systematized, their valuation goes way up. Okay. And so, we're going to start to see that in the marketplace now with these companies moving onto the blockchain. And I think it's going to be a race for the blockchain, which is super exciting. And it's super good news. And I'm going to give a shout out to Don in the chat box. Don's in my money game trading group. Don, I can't wait to jump in tomorrow. We're gonna jump in tomorrow and get the tech set up tomorrow, Don. Okay. All right, my friends. So the recap is that S&P 500 bullish. That's bullish for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and also BMNR. We also have many large companies moving onto the blockchain, like JP Morgan. We have Walmart and the Amazons. Look at the billions and billions of dollars and the trillions of dollars that they're going to be processing in payments on these chains. So they're doing all kinds of research and looking to move on the blockchain as well. And then we've also got the bullishness of the fact that we have BMNR holding the most, one of the most powerful crypto assets on earth. Bitcoin would be the first, I would say. Then you have Ethereum as the second. But when you look at why one would be bullish on BMNR, you just look at the history of MSTR, and you look at the MSTR track record of investing in Bitcoin and investing in MSTR, and that euphoria phase that MSTR went through. BMNR is going to have its euphoria phase, and we have not hit it yet, and it will come, from my point of view, not financial advice. So that's an exciting time that we're looking at as well. And then we'll see what happens. And then we've got big events coming up. The Fed is going to cut interest rates most likely this week. So we'll see that tomorrow. And if that happens, maybe it's priced in right now to the markets. Who knows? But we'll see if it happens. And then Trump called off the 100% tariffs. And we know when he talks, the markets can go up or go down. And so there's a new agreement coming into place with China and the U.S., and that's exciting too. And there's all kinds of great news coming out this week. So let's hope it's all bullish news, and it's not like here's the news and I'm hoping this is going to be bullish, and I think we're going to have a good week this week. We're already starting to have a good week. So have a great rest of your week. Stay very, very well. You can get my book down below and snag it. And also we'll send you my video on how I'm making 5% trading per week, and you can just get a summary of how that works. And then I'll see you guys on the other side. Stay well.